One of the big questions in the diving world is the simple A-clamp or DIN question, which personally I feel has been answered years and years ago, and yet A-clamp still seems to exist. Hi all of you awesome scuba divers out there, welcome to the Scuba Diver Magazine channel, your favourite place for the latest scuba diving news and gear reviews. Yeah, if you can't guess by now, I'm very much team DIN, and I can't think of literally any situation to recommend an A-clamp. And I'll qualify that in that I learnt to dive on A-clamp regulators. My very first set of regulators that I bought myself were A-clamp regulators. I used to teach students with them using A-clamp regulators. So I have plenty of experience with A-clamp regs. I wasn't raised in a DIN only environment, but after that first set of regulators, all of my regs have been DIN. If I'm given an A-clamp regulator for testing, then I'll use them by all means. But for me, there are measurable benefits to DIN. Scuba.com is your one-stop shop to find all of the top scuba diving brands, from the classic big brands like Aqualung, Atomic, 𝐼𝐸𝐺, Scuba Pro, as well as new and exciting brands, as well as having their online dive store that offers free shipping and a pressure-free fit guarantee, where if your suit doesn't fit you quite right, then Scuba.com will send you the next size and collect the wrong one free of charge. But yes, Scuba.com is far more than just a website full of shiny new diving equipment. They also have two dive shops, one near Newport Beach in California and the other on West 17th Street in Manhattan. Here you can try on and buy diving equipment, and Scuba.com also teaches scuba diving classes. They run guided scuba diving tours, they service diving equipment, and they have the Pacific Coast Dive Club if you want to join up and get some diving in. If you're in the market for some new scuba diving equipment, then head over to scuba.com. It's a really easy website to remember. It's literally scuba.com, or you can click on this link up here, or there's going to be the same one down in the description underneath this video. A-clamp is the earliest fitting, and such you'll find A-clamp cylinders just in most corners of the world. And if I've learned anything over my years of diving, it's that scuba divers don't like change. So if you look after a cylinder and the valve, it will last for years and years. And if your cylinder is A-clamp, then when you need a new set of regulators, you're going to get another set of A-clamp. And I think that's one of the main reasons why A-clamp really still exists. The A-clamp fitting is arguably faster to fit to a valve, but you just pop that yoke over the valve, you line up the O-ring, you screw the back bit in, and that's it. But really, that's the main selling point. Everything else is downsides. A-clamp regulators are physically larger and heavier, making them worse for travel. Granted, it's usually like a few hundred grams, if that, but that all adds up in your baggage allowance, and the actual thing itself is a little bit bigger. The other main downside for me is the actual sealing mechanism, because the sealing O-ring is right here between the valve and the first stage. There are several issues with that. The first being that it's the owner of the cylinder who's responsible for that O-ring. And some O-rings on some rental cylinders are just completely knackered by the time that you reach them. These O-rings aren't always the exact same size, and the design as well doesn't always marry up. You'd come across some valves where you can line up the A-clamp and you can screw it down, but as soon as you pressurize it, it wouldn't seal, which was just annoying. And then you'd have to like completely take the BCD off, put it on a different cylinder, and then try it again. So it's not always a universal fitting. It is also an inferior seal because the O-ring can extrude, and I've seen this plenty of times in the field and at the dive center as well, with the immense pressure that's pushing on that O-ring, and it's kind of pushing sideways. There can sometimes be a weak point where the O-ring is just pushed out or extruded, and all of the gas just leaks out before it actually reaches the first stage. And there can be little to no warning. It can just happen right as you pressurize the regulator, or it can happen a few minutes later, which is really quite worrying because you might be in the water by that point. And the final point in this little mini series is that A-clamp fittings are capped at around 200 to 230 bar of pressure as like a maximum working pressure. Any higher and the chances of extrusion increase because of that O-ring placement. Granted, this isn't a huge issue. Even though I mainly use DIN regulators, it's quite rare that I want or need to use a 300 bar cylinder, but I can if I want to. An A-clamp will only ever go up to like 232 bar of pressure. DIN is steadily growing in popularity, and it's quite rare that you'll find a diver that starts on DIN regulators and then swaps to an A-clamp regulator. And if there was some kind of program to replace all cylinder valves for free when a diver needed a new set of regulators, and they would replace your A-clamp valve on your cylinder for a DIN valve for free, I'd like to think that we would ditch A-clamp a bit like the J valve. You don't see too many of them in the wild anymore. DIN valves have been around since like the 50s, so they've got a strong heritage, and given enough time, I think that all divers will eventually transfer over to DIN just as time goes on. DIN is undeniably the better fitting. It's smaller and it's lighter, making it easier for travel, and most importantly, it's basically impossible to extrude the O-ring because the O-ring is trapped inside the valve itself. Because of this, it can go to far higher pressures, and even though you may never use a 300 bar cylinder, that maximum working pressure far exceeds what you're diving on with most cylinders, so you never have to worry about it. That sealing O-ring is yours to maintain, so you can check it before you even get to the dive site, and if you're tinkering with your gear, you notice that it needs to be replaced, then you can swap it over if you need to, instead of turning up to the dive site, checking your cylinder valve, only to then, when you're actually getting kitted up, realize that you need a replacement. You'll hear some divers complain about how the threads on the actual screw part of the DIN wheel can chip, but if you're careful with your regulators, they're going to be fine. I've lost count of the number of dives that this particular first stage has been on, and the DIN wheels are perfectly fine. So just look after them and they'll be perfectly fine. DIN valves can also reduce your chances of entanglement in the water. Not by a huge amount, but with an A-clamp, you have this like mushroom cap sticking out from the back of your valve, which can tangle in something if you swim past it. The DIN valve just screws into it for a much more streamlined profile. Granted, we're talking about probably like an inch, a few centimeters, but hey, I'll take every inch that I can get. But anyway, to summarize, DIN is smaller, stronger, and safer at no extra cost, and the only thing holding A-clamp divers back is like heritage and old tank valves. I honestly can't remember the last time that I had to use an A-clamp adapter on my DIN regulators when I'm going on holiday, because most places have DIN today. Most holiday resorts understand that a lot of divers are using DIN now, and for them, they don't need to maintain the O-ring on the rental cylinders, so it's an added benefit for the resort. But hey, if you own A-clamp regulators, let me know why. I honestly can't come up with a good enough reason to invest in an A-clamp. And remember that it's just an easy procedure to convert your A-clamp first stage to a DIN. You just kind of unscrew one part and then you screw the DIN fitting in its place. It is really quick and easy. And DIN cylinder valves are available all around the world nowadays, so there's fewer and fewer excuses. But if you do have any, by all means let me know down in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on like DIN versus A-clamp. And if you're unsure which to choose, then most divers I think out there will recommend DIN. Maybe I'll put a poll up on the community page here on YouTube, see what people say. But before I leave, remember to give this page a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, safe diving.